This female juniper tree has produced a lot of the berries in that. And you'll notice some of them are a lot more blue. This one here is the male juniper. And as you can see, it doesn't produce a great abundance of berries. And so there's a lot of uses in that for the juniper tree. This was the tree that they would cut to make the cradle board. In the traditional teaching of our people, one of the plants in that, or trees in this case, is very abundant among the Ne in all parts of the Netha, which is out among our people. And that particular plant is the juniper tree. Now sometimes people want to refer to it as cedar, but it's not cedar in a way that the general public and the non-native people understand cedar. Gut is what we call it. Gut is a plant that is used in many different ways. It's used for cleansing the body, and also for the food that it can provide. Now there are berries on this juniper tree, and a lot of times people have completely forgotten how to use the berries on the juniper tree. When you take the juniper berries and actually boil them, you can get to the point of where you can boil the skin right off of the berry inside. And the juniper berry is the ones that we make the beads out of and the various ornaments and that to wear. But inside of that also is the actual fruit of the seed. And a lot of times if you just leave the juniper berries on the ground, there are little insects in that will dig a little hole and get in there and eat the fruit of the seed. But the thing about that is when you boil the skin off of the berry, you can use that for a number of different things. And most of the time it was used for washing. Washing your clothes or washing your body, and that it was used in the water that you would be using to do your washing. And so it had the uses in that particular way. But also sometimes they could actually, after you take the skin off of the berry, you could actually dry that, and then you would grind it up, and you would add that with the yucca fruit, and you would add it to what is a lot of times people are telling me the pumpkin that is made as a food. And this particular plant, a lot of times people have associated with having a high content of vitamin C. Now I don't know that for sure. I have absolutely no way of knowing what that involves. But right here behind me, this particular juniper tree is the female juniper tree. The female juniper tree produces so many more of the juniper berries. And so you can see on this tree here, there's a lot of berries. But the tree itself is considered female. And there are the male tree. The male tree does not produce the berries in this way. It's only the female. These are great big clusters of berries on the branches and that of the juniper tree. The thing about the drinking of the juniper plant, again, I caution people, if you want to use it full strength, it does have a very bitter taste as well. But you can water it down. And this particular one, I know that sometimes people would add a little bit of honey to the drink and drink it. But that's up to the individual. I have no idea as to how people can use that. But myself, if I use it, I just drink it straight. And the thing about the juniper tree is also, it is used in the preparation of what they call the blue cornmeal mush. Natado is what they would refer to it, and also blue bread. You can mix the white cornmeal or the yellow cornmeal, and you can actually, when you take the juniper and add the juniper, you break off branches and then you put it over a fire, and when that branch catches fire, you remove it out of the flames and gently move it around so that it drops the ashes onto the cloth, and you collect an amount of that, at least maybe a cup or so, or a couple of cups, and that's what you actually would add to the blue corn, or the white cornmeal, or the yellow cornmeal. And when you do that, it turns it dark and blue. And when you make the mush, you of course add a good amount of water, so it kind of keeps it thin, so it's like a oatmeal, or cream of wheat, or even grits. But that's how you make the cornmeal mush, the blue cornmeal mush. To make it so that it can be used as bread, there's another thing, and that is you can add a little bit of water, and so that it's a little bit more firm. And when you cook it, actually you cook it until maybe flatten it out and make it into a large cookie, and maybe about half an inch or 3/4 of an inch thick. And you can put that actually on a grill and cook it just like you would do a tortilla. It's not really flexible when you put it on there, so you have to be kind of careful when you turn it. And you cook it for several minutes on each side, and it turns kind of dark. You don't do it on high heat, when you cook it. So it takes a while to cook it because it's pretty thick. Or you can actually cook it in the coals, on the coals, hot coals, and that, right on a fire. You don't put it into the fire. You remove the coals from the fire, and then you flatten out the coals, and you can put that cookie shape blue corn bread right on top of it and cook it on there. And then the other way to use it, and this is one that our Diné don't do it so often. It's more probably among the Pueblo people. They still do it. When I want some of that kind of bread, I think, oh my gosh, I always want to call it newspaper bread because it's so thin. And you have to have a special type of hand. I don't have that hand. My fingers are just straight. I can't make it so that it bows. Now, some people can make it so that their hand kind of has that nice, gentle bow to it. But you take some of it and you kind of thin it out a little bit, and you have a hot grill. And it has to be a pretty good-sized grill, probably maybe 2 feet by a foot or so. And you take that mix, and you spread it out on top of the hot grill with your hand. And you do it very quickly so it doesn't burn your hand. And just as the ends start to curl, then you start rolling it. And you roll it into a piece of really fine bread. And I'm just trying to think of the name that they refer to, I think, a picky bread or something. Picky bread is what they call it. And I think Hopi people and the Tewa people, and that make that picky bread. But that's the one way to use it. But our Navajo people, our Diné people, used to make that same kind of bread. And I remember my grandmother making it, my great-grandmother making it, and my mother making it. But I don't understand why they didn't make it so often. But every now and then they would get feeling like they wanted some of that bread, and they would mix the blue cornmeal mix with the ashes from the juniper tree, and then cook the bread in that way. And that's one of the types of bread that our people used to have. And again, they say that is a good source of vitamin C in that particular type of bread. And when they make bread that way, you can actually take that bread and you can carry it with you for days. Especially the one that looks like the large cookie, pato, and it's about a half inch or 3/4 of an inch thick, and it's pretty good size. And like I say, it's a large cookie. You can put that in your pocket and carry it around with you for a year or two and be able to eat it, and it will still taste just as good. It might be a little bit crunchy, but it's still edible, and it preserves itself very well. And so there's a lot of uses in that for the juniper tree. And not only do we use it for firewood, traditionally this was the tree that they would cut to make the cradle board for the net. And nowadays they use just any kind of wood, but the traditional way was to make it from the cut or the juniper tree. And I think that probably people can look at the various sources and understand that there are different types of juniper type trees, or cedar trees, let me say it that way. There are different types of cedar tree. And I wish I could just recall all of these different ways that you can use it. And it is also the plant that was used, the way that I mentioned, the cooking of the juniper berry and drinking the juice to fight off the pandemic and that our people experience. And I have no understanding of the way that did it in medical terms or anything like that, but it worked. And so to this day, our people still wear the juniper berry beads and that to remember. And if it really was necessary, I think that people could even grind that juniper berry shell and get that same benefit and that from the juniper berries and that we use today. And those are the things that we are told. This female juniper tree has produced a lot of the berries in that. And you'll notice some of them are a lot more blue. That's all natural. And they can be harvested right now. And it is that you can pull these right off of the plant. And this is the one you would actually collect a bunch and actually boil it. And when you boil it down, the skin's not very thick. You can remove it. And you can see where I've kind of peeled it off. It would be very difficult to peel it by hand, one piece at a time. It's better to boil it and boil off the skin. And the skin is what you would use, as I mentioned earlier, and also the berry is right inside of this that we use for wearing as jewelry and ornaments. So that's the female juniper tree. This one here is the male juniper. And as you can see, it doesn't produce a great abundance of berries, very few. And as you kind of notice a lot of times, there's a lot of deer tracks around here. And deer droppings as well, down here behind me. The deer, I think, like to eat some of the lower branches during winter months. And so a lot of these trees, you'll notice they don't have a lot of branches on the lower part of the tree where there's deer trails and that through this area. But normally the juniper grows very close to the ground with their branches spreading out probably about 2 feet or so, or even a foot, and then going out. And they kind of grow in sort of a round type of thing. But if you find a main trunk of the tree, I remember out on where my grandmother lived, we used to trim the lower branches so that we could create shade for the sheep to go underneath. Sometimes the other animals and that, the donkeys and so on, would like to share that shade as well. But this is the male juniper. Cut Bakaki is what they would call it.
Hey, thanks for watching our videos. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss one of our uploads. Also, head over to our website, NavajoTraditionalTeachings.com. Sign up for our email list. Okay.